So, welcome to the MediaBank library tutorial. Today we'll cover Workspace 1, 2 and 3 of the library application. We assume that you already have a working MediaBank account and that you're logged into the library application. If not, please see our tutorial on how to get an account and how to log in. We further assume that you're familiar with how to use search in the library application. And if not, please see our search tutorial that we've also made for that. So yeah, let's dive into the library app. So we will start with the layout of the application. So depending on your using the thumb view or the list view and the properties view, you will always find the search module on your left side. So this is the free text area where you can simply do Google style searches. So if I here type cross country, for instance, I will search within all assets that has the metadata value of cross country. So you can see that I went from a couple of thousand assets down to a few hundred assets. I can simply type a space and then carry on like a Google style search. So, and you can clear your search by hitting this X, and you can see all your saved searches listed below here. And you can further manage your searches by showing or hiding your searches by clicking the eye icon, and you can see that it appears or disappears from here. So, this is Workspace 1, where you can see all your assets as a thumb view. You can quickly skim through with the scrubbing posters like this. You can page and navigate through the thumb view. Similarly, we have a list view. So this is more a Excel style way of displaying your search result. So your search results are always in the middle. But now I can, let's say that I'm doing this cross-country free text search, and I have my 213 items, but I want to sort them by Olympic Games or by title. You can simply click the header column and it will sort ascending and descending, and the third time you click it sorts back to the default, which is the latest or the newest asset at the top in your search result. So, and if I click on one asset, you can see it's highlighted in orange, and I can click a shift key, it will select everything in between, or I can hold down my command key on the Mac and control key on Windows, and you can pick and choose from wherever you want in the list. So if I choose one clip and I then go into Workspace 3, this is the workspace where you get more specific information about one single asset at a time. So here at the right hand side you can see all the metadata that has been associated with this asset. So title, subtitle, everything that's defined for this clip. So all this metadata, they are configurable keys and values that has been set up for your account by the MediaBank team and your administrators. So they should make sense in order for you to get to know what this clip is all about and yeah, get to work basically. So moving back to Workspace 1, I'm just going to clear my search, so get used to that. Hit the X, you'll get back to square one. You can see this asset, I can click on it. Like I said, I can skim through with the scrubbing posters. I can hit this little 3 dots. It will open my properties modal view. So similar to what you saw in Workspace 3, you get a read-only version of the same type of metadata. And we have also configured metadata on the top bar here. And you can see some information about size and format and where it's stored, etc. And you have a very easy navigation to just simply click through to your next or previous asset within your search result. So that's the properties modal. In addition to that, we have this simple little menu. So you have the top menu with the 3 lines here, but similarly we have a asset specific menu. So let's talk about the menus. So if I hit one asset, or I hit spacebar and click another, so I do a multi-select, it's you need to navigate to the different menus because I'm now working with double or 2 assets, so then I need to click this menu, whereas if I'm only working with 1 asset, I can click on the single asset menu. So let's click the main menu here, and you can see from left to right I have a number of tasks that I can perform on these 2 assets. So I can group them together, I can manually add them to a project. So if I do that, I can either add them to an existing one, or I can create a new one on the fly. And if I create a new one on the fly, so this is a demo project, I can choose to make that private for myself only, or I can make it available for a group or several groups within my account, or I can make this project public. So that means public in the sense that everyone in this account that has access to these assets will see this project. So I'll just keep it private for now. So I just created the project. So I can X that out, and I can get back to my demonstration of the different top menu items here. So that was project. So a different way of selecting is by simply clicking and dragging a selection. So it's like a lasso tool. So all I did was, you need to start the lasso on top of one asset, and you can click and drag it between as many as you like in your search result. So group assets, add to project. I can do stuff like update media info or the scrubbing posters. So the scrubbing posters were those tiny frames I skimmed through earlier. So if they are missing, you can update them. Other actions are, I can add these assets to a Quicklink. So a Quicklink, we'll come back to that, but it's a very nice way of sharing your content via email or SMS style little web forms. So the only difference between adding to a Quicklink and sending a Quicklink is that if your search result is on different searches or on different pages, you would use add, but if these are all you want to send, you can click send straight away. So it's just 2 ways of doing the same thing. And if it's configured, which is not the case here, you may download the original proxy or poster, and you have these little distribution boxes that we'll also come back to later, called mboxes, which does all the magic for you. It can encode and send to your edit suite or deliver it to, you know, some FTP server somewhere. Those are available here. And since me being an administrative account, I can also do other stuff. So I can create a new proxy. So a proxy in MediaBank is the web-friendly version that you're viewing in our MediaBank player. So we get the high-res file in, and for every high-res file we get in, we make a web-friendly proxy, so that just use the commodity internet and use MediaBank. So I can do a new version of that, and I can edit metadata. I can, if they were on backup or archive, I can restore them. And if I even have the allowance to, I can even delete them, which you probably won't, but just know it's there. And as we covered before, you have the same support functions and documentation. So if you're wondering about anything, they are very close by, in addition to this helper down at the bottom. Get familiar with these menus, because there are slight differences. So as we said, if you select multiple, always use the main menu. But if we select a single asset, there are the most common used shortcuts are available straight on this little per asset menu. But there's even another way to get things done, and that's by context clicking. So right clicking on an asset, and you can see that a lot of the shortcuts are available here as well. So one neat little feature is this copy asset link. So what that does is that, let's say that you're finding some really nice footage that you want to share with your other members of your team or the country's team or whatever. So you can either then use our Slack channel or an email. So you basically get a unique URL which takes this asset, and once you click that link, it opens it in Workspace 3. So that's a direct URL copy. So that's the copy asset link. Also, really recommend you to get familiar with the Quicklink feature. So you can either, again, you can do it by right-clicking here, or you can say add to Quicklink or send to Quicklink. So if I add this to the Quicklink box, I can simply take that one and this one and say add. And to show you the difference, if I clear this now, is that if I choose these four and I go up here and I say send Quicklink, it simply adds it and opens the box at the same time. So it depends on what you need to do, if all your assets that you want to share are available on one page, or if you want to sort of find one by one and add them. So Quicklink is a brilliant little feature that lets you grant exclusive assets to one or several assets of your choice and share it via email or SMS in a simple sort of email style editor. So I can simply type my mobile phone number. So for internationals, make sure that you include the country code, no zero, just the country code and then the number, or email address. So I'll just type my email here as well. And for email, you may also choose to allow the recipients to download the original or download the proxy file. So the subject and the comments here, it's simply the email. So it's your heading of your email, you know, files from Media Bank Olympics, and your body text goes here. So this is simply your email, right? And then bear in mind that this is where you set the policy for this link, so the expiration policy. So if by default it's set to whatever's set in the config, it's usually 1 day, but you can choose to have 5 days, hours, clicks, months. So this is how long this link will last before it expires. So this is the amount of time you give the recipients for them to check this out. So depending on your use case, you'll choose, you know, time or clicks. So I guess time will be most sensible, but that's up to you. And you simply hit execute, and what this does now is that it sends me a text and it sends me an email, and it grants me as a non-MediaBank user access to these clips to review or to download, depending on what you set in this link. So that's Quicklink. And as you might have noticed, there are other boxes below here as well. So they kind of work in a very similar way. So the idea here is that you find your assets, so either by your saved searches or your free text searches. So let's say that I want to do something with this clip. I can simply in the same way say add it to this M box. So an M box, that's more like a magic box, so it actually can do transcoding, it can provide metadata, and it can deliver it to S3 infrastructure, FTP, to your edit suites, whatever we need it to be. And for the Olympics, there's the easy way to use the sending infrastructure that we have to get files around to your offices from one central place. So you'll probably all at least have one that says, send me this file in some way or the other, and this is how you do it. So you simply add one or several files to a box, you click the box, you may choose to prefix the file name. If you are adding multiple clips, you may choose to stitch them together if that's available for you. And you may also choose to notify someone once it's finished. So notification lists are really a predefined list of email recipients or phone numbers or a combination of that. So in this case, this is a test M box, so it doesn't have a very good description. But here it should say it transcodes it into something, or it does not. It does same as source, takes all your audio tracks and sends it to your NLE's closest storage, or so. The description here should tell you everything about what this box is doing. You don't need to know much technical stuff about what this box is doing. We've set it up, it's tested, it's monitored in our NOC 24/7, so we make sure it works. So I'll just go ahead and close this back down. So as you can see on every asset, there is a shortcut to Workspace 3. So we haven't covered the actual player itself, which is probably something that you should get familiar with. So this is where you navigate, you can skim through the video player, you can hit play, you can go full screen, you can hit escape, and it takes you out of full screen. And you have familiar playback functions that you should be used to having worked with media. So typically you have JKL, so you can start, stop, fast forward. So you can see, all the usual functions that you would expect from a player these days. You can also skip 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and 1 second backwards using the buttons. So if I'm here, I can go 1 by 1 second, or I can go 10 by 10 seconds, or 30 by 30. And I can even go frame by frame by using the arrow keys. So arrow right is a frame forward, arrow back is a frame backward. So you can really sort of get into the details here. You can even use the LTC, the time code. So let's say that you want to jump to 17:42:50 and hit enter. Then the player will seek to exactly that point. And in addition to that, you can say +10, -10, and the player will queue up 10 seconds before, 10 seconds after, respectively. Another thing that's very useful for you to notice straight away is this little menu with the speaker here. So whenever we have clips where we have multi-audio playback possibilities, then those will appear here. So it's not the case for this asset, but then you will see the different commentary languages listed alphabetically in this list here. In addition to that, you can see we have some configured data about this clip below here. If it was manually uploaded, you would see the username and the contact details of the person who uploaded the asset. So this is the player module. So get familiar with that. It shouldn't be, too much to get your head around. It's very simple stuff, but make your ways around it. And then last but not least, we would like to cover the Workspace 3 editable metadata fields. So by default, when you're pressing Workspace 3, you get into the client-defined fields, which opens by default. So it's simply one of the tabs available, one of the tabs that you will use the most. So it's an open section by default. You can see there are other sections here as well, so you could read, if you're interested about the technical specs of the file, that's under the media format. And a lot of other stuff that, if you're interested, you can read up on. But this client-defined fields is actually, if you're allowed, and you have your user, or your user has the permissions, this is where you could add metadata or change existing metadata to an asset. So you could simply, switch between the values that are already here, or you have free text fields where you can simply type. So that depends on the field type. But get familiar with the client-defined fields, because this is where your metadata resides, and if you have the role, this is also where you change it. I can also click next or previous asset here. So if I go next, you can see a slight change at the top here. So these are linked assets. So for the Olympics, we will be basing a lot on the event IDs. So let's say it's the cross-country 15K Classic for the Pyeongchang, and all the associated media and clips that we are generating that is using that same ID will be automatically linked. So if you find one clip from the event, all the associated clips for that event will automatically be available on the top. And if there are more than 4, you can see there's a More button here, and you will have one or a list of other clips that relates to the same asset. You may also see that in the linked assets. You can see here the tab is represented also in a list view, so I can click here and it will select that asset and queue that up. So I guess that pretty much concludes what we would like to cover in the basics of Workspace 1, 2, and 3. Don't hesitate to contact us if you want to learn more. And please make sure to check in on other tutorials that we're making for the Olympics for MediaBank. And thank you.